Hey everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. I know we are 1 minute earlier, so I'm gonna give some time and yeah, just gonna give some time for people to join in. Until then, Pedro, you and I can chat or we can just look at each other in silence. Either ways.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Um,
So currently our live streaming is running on LinkedIn and
YouTube
YouTube,
and
right?
link.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's
Yeah.
that's nice. That's awesome. Good, good.
Okay, cool. Seems to be working. I'm just gonna check like couple of things.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
preparing here on my side, open all the applications and presentations.
So curious, since we started the agent builder, I know you built it, and just curious, like, did we add any like more new features that you're gonna show off today?
Yeah, so not today, but we have a feature that's on the testing phase, which is the ability to
Mhm.
create indexes. So you can upload your own PDFs and have the agents to use RAG over your own documents, both PDF and images. So it's a very nice feature, and everything's very well integrated with interfaces. So just drag and drop, and then you can talk with your own documents. So
Nice,
yeah,
very
and
nice. I'm
testing phase should be ready soon, and it will be
okay.
awesome.
Looking forward to.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm curious, what made you build this in the first place?
Okay, so this is a very good question. So I was really because we have a lot of tools to build agents. We have an awesome SDK, we have awesome code
Mhm.
tools to build agents, but sometimes I just wanted to do quick tests or quick demos. I just wanted to show to like what I can do or even do some testing. And for that, I think code is a bit too much. Sometimes I just
Mhm.
don't want to prepare environment and write code and go over and forward our platform and our SDK. So
Mhm.
for those scenarios, I said, okay, we need to have an interface. We need to have a some way where I can have an agent with 3 to 4 clicks. And this was accomplished by the agent builder. We have an interface that I'm going to show in a couple of minutes, maybe,
Mhm.
and where you can create agents just by simply clicks, and it's very powerful for both testing, for validating some scenarios, and also for people that are not very much technical on the code side. Because I always have this feeling that there are a lot of possibilities for agents outside the technology bubble. So we need to have tools that enable everyone to harness the power of agents. So yeah,
Mhm.
so that's what was
Nice.
one of the reasons. How do I make people that are not from the tech community to have its first agent? And it's of course a nice experience for them.
Awesome, awesome. Well, that was thank you for sharing that. So, I think we should start. I'm sure people will join in. They could be on LinkedIn and YouTube at the same time. But hey, everyone, welcome back to Agent O'Clock session number 3. No matter where you're joining us from, morning, afternoon, or late night, we are so excited to have you here. I'm Sonam, and I'll be your host for today's session. And this one's especially for folks who have been curious about building agents but don't want to dive straight into code. And I've been getting a lot of different questions like, oh, do you have something for people who don't want to code, don't want to use SDK and just do the drag and drop? Guess what? That's what we're going to talk about today. So we are going to go completely hands-on with our agent builder, our new no-code app for macOS users that makes it incredibly simple to build your first AI agent. Whether it's calling API or connecting models from the Explain marketplace, you will see how drag and drop is so easy to get started. Now, I'm going to stop talking about it because I know today Pedro is going to lead this walkthrough and he's going to show us how to bring agents to life without writing a single line of code. Over to you, Pedro.
Hey, thank you, Sonam. So as you said, today we are going to do a demo of our agent builder, and we're going to showcase how you can start building your own agents using this powerful tool. So let me share my screen here. If there are any questions, you can send the questions in the live chat. But if you are watching this afterwards, you can always email our team or enter our Discord to ask questions about it. Okay, so let's first talk just a bit about what are agents and what are explain agents, just so everyone's it's on the same page here. So agents are basically systems with high degrees of independence that can perform tasks. How those system works, they basically have a LLM, a model that works as a brain. And this brain can control different tools, and from those tools it can create workflows, recognize actions that needs to be done, and in which stage those actions are in. So for example, we can have a agent that performs a video translation. It gets the video, it translates the video, and then put the audio back or put the subtitles back. This might look like a pipeline, but it's not. It's not a pipeline. It's more powerful than this. It can change tools. It can select the best tools for each scenario. And this capability of accessing external systems is what makes agents very powerful. And here on aiXplain, we have a very powerful structure to run those agents. It's an enterprise-grade system. And basically, this is our system. It might be too much now to unpack, but we go over slowly and everything will be clear. So we have something called mentalist, which is basically uh, uh, every time you create an agent, you assign a set of tools. So let's say you have an AI model, API that you want to integrate. We are going to do all of this after this quick introduction. So you then ask a question for the agent, and this agent creates a plan. This plan is executed, is prepared by the orchestrator that calls each tool in the correct order, and then the results are passed to the inspector to ensure that we are following all policies. Regarding structures and policies, we have two powerful guardrails, as we call them, inspector and bodyguard. They both ensures that no data is leaking, and we can inform those guardrails how your enterprise works. So we ensure that we are complying with your own policies. So basically, that's the structure that might seem a little bit complicated, but as soon as we go over the code, that will be easy. So let's jump into the agent builder now. So what we want to build is basically this that I'm showing, but so let's start. Okay, so this is the agent builder. Currently is a macOS application. We are working to release a web-based version. It should be ready by the next quarter. But while we develop this web interface, we can still use our macOS application. So here's the first interface. As soon as you join here, you will be prompted to put an API key. This should be your aiXplain API key. To get this API key, it's super easy. We simply go to aiXplain.com. Let me log in. So here under my name, I have team settings, integrations. I can create a new access key. So let's say demo. This is probably the demo 100, but demo. Okay, so here's the API key. I can copy it and use it in the agent builder. I won't do this because it's already configured, but as soon as you open this application, you will be prompted to use your API key. And this will sync with all agents that you have. So let's create our first agent. And this is very simple. We can simply click create new agent, very straightforward. And we are prompted with this interface. In this interface, we have fields to describe an agent name, a description, and an instruction. Before going over the tools and all of that, let's discuss about the difference between description and instruction. So a description is basically for humans to read. For you, when you go to the websites, for you to understand what this agent does. So you are kind of describing for your teammates, for yourself in the future, what this agent does. Structures are completely different. This is basically the system prompt of the agent. So here you can say, always answer in English, be polite, do not talk about something and all of that. So that's basically the system prompt. What you put here is what you tell the agent to do. Okay, so for our first agent, we are going to build a Wikipedia agent. So it's basically an agent that can search in the Wikipedia for queries. So let's say I have a question about a famous singer or a poet. Instead of relying only on the LLM intelligence, I can provide a Wikipedia tool that allows the LLM to connect with Wikipedia and to do some search. So let's go over it. So here on the agent builder, we can really use any asset on XPlain. And XPlain offers one of the biggest marketplace of its kind. We have access of a lot of tools. If we go here into Discover, we have all of them. And it's really a lot of them. You can see here by the number of models. But let's go back to the agent builder. So here we can import from XPlain. So let's search for Wikipedia. So here's Wikipedia. With just one click, our LLM have access to Wikipedia right now. That's all. So let's give a name for this, Wikipedia agent. So yeah, with those 3 to 4 clicks, we created our agent. So this is our agent. We of course can provide a system prompt. If we don't provide, XPlain can create one for us, but here we are providing. The same for description. If we don't want to write a description, we can click in generate and it will automatically generate a description. Okay, so it's generated. With this, all that we need to do is to click in this little green hammer, build agent. Okay, our agent's built. So let's test this agent. Here we have this concept of agent analyzer, which is basically an interface where we can set with our agent and analyze the responses. Let's ask a simple query for this agent. Okay, tell me more about, let's say, Rio de Janeiro. Okay. So now we are sending this query for our LLM that will recognize that it needs to use some kind of tool. And here by the side, we'll be able to see the log. So let us make this bigger. Okay. Tell me more about Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro is often referred to as Rio is a capital of Rio de Janeiro. Okay, that's nice. And here on the left, we can see what steps this agent took. So here we have the input, which is basically my query. Tell me more about Rio de Janeiro. We have the tool calls, which tools did those agents call, and the output. So here in tool, we have Wikipedia, the text Rio de Janeiro, the output of the tool. And this is very useful and very powerful for us to understand what is going on. Because in this scenario, we only have one tool. But there are scenarios, there are situations where you might have 10 different tools, and maybe the interaction between those tools are not clear. So you need to go over the logs and see here what's going on. And something that it's important to state at this point is that everything that I'm doing here can be done through code, through our Python SDK, as well as through our Swift SDK. And this whole application was built on top of the Swift SDK. Okay, so here we have the log for our agent. And as I talk about tools, something that's also very interesting about XPlain architecture is that every asset on our platform can be a tool for an agent. So we can have an agent that have as tools another agents, which is very powerful. Then you can bootstrap a super agent that can do a lot of stuff. But let's go back to our example. So here we have this agent that can search on Wikipedia. As a developer or as a user, I think it would be nice to also generate illustrations for this. Let's say that I want to search for queries, for example, Rio de Janeiro, but I also want to have images generated by AI of those scenarios, of those places. To add a new tool is very easy. I can simply click in Import from XPlain on the top left. and search, let's say, for stable diffusion. So here I have stable diffusion. I can use any of those models, but something that I could also do is to search on the platform. So let's say I want to use this one here. I could copy the URL and paste it here. That will work as well. So you can both use it here and here. And something that it's very powerful about our architecture is the concept of IDs. We can use this ID here. We could use this ID on our Python SDK, on our Swift SDK, anywhere. Okay, so let's go back. Stable diffusion, I would take this second one, the XL. Okay, so now we have access to stable diffusion. So our agent, which is powered by a LLM brain, let's say, have access to those tools. But sometimes in some scenarios, we might want to instruct our agent how to use those tools. Some tools are very straightforward, such as searching in Wikipedia, but others might not be as straight, for example, stable diffusion. So something that we can do here in this interface is click here and give a description about this, uh, how the agent can use this. So let's say you should use this to generate images. So generate illustrations from articles based on natural language queries. What we are doing here is telling our agent how to use that tool. In the future, we will see that's super important, especially when we have like 10 different tools and sometimes the namings and the parameters are similar. We might want to give specific instructions for each tool. Okay, so let's click in Agent Analyzer again. So let's ask for a place in Rio. So tell me more about Palácio do Catete in Rio de Janeiro, which is a palace in Rio. Okay, so now we are sending our query to the agent. As it did it before, it's first searching on Wikipedia, getting the information that it can in Wikipedia, and something that is also very interesting is that if the agent believes that it needs to get more information, it can do multiple searches. So here he did a lot of searches, and each search is for a topic. So let's say Palácio do Catete, the other one is Rio de Janeiro, and here we have the informations. Okay, so Palácio do Catete, also known as Catete Palace, is a Uber mention, and that goes on. So let's test our new tool, which is generate an image from. Okay, so let's see if the second tool is working. We could also ask all of this in a single query, and that's also something powerful about agents. If we need to use multiple tools, we could also do this in the same query. So I could say, tell me more about Palácio do Catete in Rio de Janeiro, and generate an image. So here's the image. Okay, it's opening. Let me open here.
While the image open, I will just wanted to
Yeah.
announce one quick thing. I see Chris has asked that what tool is this? Chris, this is our agent builder for no code or non-tech people to build agents. And my colleague has shared the link on how to get started. She has commented the link for that. And Pedro, there's a question. What's the difference between instructions and description from the AI's point of view?
Okay, that's a very good question. So the AI do not even read the description. The description is only for humans. It's only for us to understand what an agent does or what this agent is doing. The instruction is for the LLM to know what it should do. So we can think of the instruction as something that you are telling the agent, and the description as a label you put in the agent.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Oh, the image
here,
looks nice.
yeah, the image looks nice, and to be honest, it looks similar from what it is. But okay, so this is an example where we are using two tools. So if we go here, we have Stable Diffusion, and here is the input and the output. Okay, so with this, we conclude our Wikipedia agent. And something that we can also do is to deploy this agent. So on aiXplain, we have the concept of draft and deployed agents, which is a very straightforward concept. Every time we create an agent, it's a draft because we might want to change it, change the description, instructions to see what works. And after that, we can deploy this agent. So this agent becomes permanent. Draft agents are deleted after 24 hours. So clicking here in deploy, we can deploy our agent. And after deploying, every time we do some change, it's necessary to update because we are pushing a new version of the agent. Okay, so and here on the top, we also have the export option, which is very useful. We can get the agent ID, and in step by step, we have Python code on how to build this agent using the SDK. So you can build one agent using our agent builder and try to understand, okay, how I would build this in the Python SDK. What's the step by step? The step by step is here, and you can understand how the syntax and how the workflow would work to build this agent. Okay, so let's build our second agent. It's going to be a bit more powerful, but it will be a nice one. Okay, so for our second agent, I prepared something, which is an agent that can fetch information about stock market. So stock news with sentiment and also stock prices. To do this, we need to use a tool that is not on aiXplain, which is Alpha Vantage, basically an API for algorithm trading. So we have informations such as global news, stock prices, and we also can get a free API key for testing purposes, which is nice, so everybody can follow. So we are going to use Alpha Vantage to get stock prices and informations. As I mentioned, we do not have this as tool on aiXplain, but that's no problem at all because on aiXplain you can onboard your own Python code as a tool. So if you have a use case where one of our assets do not cover it, we don't provide an asset, you can onboard your own asset. That's what we are going to do. So here we can click in New Custom Tool, and we can simply code the tool. Something that I really like to do is actually go to cursor. So when we click this, we are syncing the cursor with macOS Agent Builder. So basically everything that we do here, let me type something, everything that we do here goes through here. And most times we want to code our tools, we want to test our tools on our own IDE because it already has our own configurations and all of that. Okay, so let's just ask for a API. So use Alpha Vantage to fetch news from stock market, single function. So this is important. Every tool on aiXplain, every custom tool needs to be a single function. The single functions then run on our own on premises. Okay, so let's run. And here this showcases how well the agent builder integrates with other applications and other systems in macOS. Here, everything's being done through cursor. We could use any other IDE. We can configure the IDE, and it also automatically recognizes. So yeah, here we have our sorry. Here we have our code. So let's accept this. Let's change this to main. This is important because every piece of code on aiXplain needs to be a main function. We don't need this anymore. We don't need to pass the API key. We can have it hard coded here. Let me get one. Okay, so yeah. So let's test this. This is something good from cursor. We can test straight from here. So let's run. Okay, so we get the response. Those are the news related to Apple. It looks like our Python code is running. So I can simply close cursor and everything is here. So we need to give a name. So let's say fetch stock market news. We have two parameters, which is limit and tickers. Let's just copy from here. It's faster. And the agent will figure out by itself how to use this. It will see the descriptions, the code, and it will understand when and how should use this. So let's upload on aiXplain. That's all. Now we have the fetch stock market news. Okay, so let's call this stock market agent. Okay, so let's just build and see what happens. Okay, so give me news about, let's say, Palantir. Okay, so for our agents to be able to reply this query, the agent should use our tool. We just onboard it, get the results, and then parse it and back the results. Let's see.
So while that runs,
Yeah.
I'm curious, the cursor part that you showed, does anyone, like everyone who's using the macOS as the agent builder app, have to do that? Or because just curious, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So let me go back here. So when you click in new custom tool, you can also code it through here. So you could say, okay,
No,
let
like
me
in the
code.
sense, like what if I don't want to code that? Like that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah. So if you don't want to code, one of the options is to use our own code generator. You can say, let's say I want
Sweet.
a
Okay.
Python function to find the MDC. Yeah. And it will generate a code that does this. If you don't want to use cursor or any other ID,
Mm-hmm.
I will show you how to use to configure to other IDs. So let's look at this. As you can see, our agent is working. It got some news with the with the URL to get into those news. So let's click on this one, for example. It opened down here on my second monitor, but here are the news it got. Okay, so it's working. Let me go back a bit. And here in configurations, if you want, we have the ID sync, and we can choose other ones. They have more, but they just recognize this three of them on my machine. But it also supports PyCharm and other editors. Okay, so now we can fetch news from the stock market, but it would be good if we could also fetch prices. So let's also implement this. It's the same process, new custom tool. Again, this time I want to go to cursor. I will actually get this code I already have here. That does exactly this, so we can not waste time. So yeah, let's paste it here. Here is the code. For symbol, we can copy here. So the stock ticker symbol, for example, Apple, stock stock price fetcher. Okay, that's all. Now we have those two tools. Let's test them. Okay, so give me the stock price and news from, let's say, IBM, maybe Apple. Okay, so give me the stock price and news from Apple. So now our agent needs to use two different tools, and it's up to the agent to recognize when it should be able to use those tools. And while it loads, I can talk about something very powerful, which is the agent we just built here, which has this ID. We can see this agent in the platform. We can see this agent in platform, and we can use this agent in Python or Swift or anything. An agent on aiXplain lives beyond the environment it was created. So if you create something in Python, you can use in the agent builder. If you create something in Swift, you can use in Python, and all the possible combinations will work. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, so Apple is that's the price for Apple, and that was the news for Apple. As we can see, we call both tools and everything's working. Okay, and the last topic I want to talk about is since you are onboarding new utilities, you can use those utilities outside of the scope of this agent as well. So let's deploy this agent. And let's say that we want our Wikipedia agent to have access to stock market. We can search for it. So we can go import and say, let's say stock. So here's stock price fetcher we just created alongside another ones. Okay, and something that is also important that if we ever want to change the script, we can do here by using this interface, and we can also combine tools we onboarded with other tools on aiXplain. So we onboarded those two tools, but let's say that we want to also crawl web pages. That's a nice use case that would fit here. We can go here and let's say I want Firecrawl, for example. I could use Firecrawl to crawl web pages and extract information. Okay, so this covers everything from the agent builder. Now I'm up to questions.
Thank you so much for walking through all the fun stuff that we can do with our agent builder. Um, Guys, whoever's listening, please keep your questions coming in. And in the meantime, I have some questions for you, Pedro. My first question for you is can you said that we can I guess it's in our once you build agents it's on our dashboard. Now I'm curious, can we export or deploy these agents and create like into production workflows, so for example like connecting it to Slack or CRMs or any internal tools depending on the use case?
Yes, 100%. As soon as the agent is created, it creates an endpoint for this agent, and this endpoint can be easily integrated anywhere.
Mhm.
And something that is also very nice is that the context of the conversation can also live outside the interface. So you can start a conversation here on the agent builder, and using the conversation ID, you can continue the same conversation, let's say on Slack or WhatsApp or whatever. So yeah,
Mhm.
our agents, they are truly agnostic of framework and where they live. They live somewhere and then they can express themselves, chat through different means.
Nice. Okay, that's pretty good. And so we can get our endpoint from from this app, correct? Could you show it one more time where to get the endpoint once the agent is built?
Yes.
So
So
that's
after
it.
the agent's built, we can go to export, and here we show through the how to get this through the SDK. We have a step by step on how to create the agent, and of course the complete code. So yes, and I think the most important part here in this interface is the ID. Just
Mhm.
by pasting this ID, you can use our endpoint, you can use the Swift SDK, the Python SDK, everything on Xplain is searchable, identifiable, and usable through this ID.
That's very easy and very streamlined. I really like that. So, a non-technical question. So, who is the ideal persona for using this tool? I know, like people who don't want to code, that would be great. But like, according to you, who would be the ideal personas?
For me, the ideal persona is the decision maker that might run a company. It runs a company, it's a manager, and it wants to experiment with AI, but it doesn't
Hmm.
want the commitment of learning a framework or learning a language just to learn a framework. And just want to experiment and see how the process in its own company can be improved by using agents. And this is a very nice way to test it out.
Nice. We have a question from someone. They are asking, can we share agents publicly or browse what others have built? Ooh, fun question.
And that's a very good question. And what can I say now? This is being developed right now. You can have a public agent, and to do so, you need to to message us, and then we'll be able to publish your agent. But automatic way to publish our agents with a review system and all of that is coming soon. Right now, if you have an asset, it doesn't mean it doesn't need to be an agent. It could be anything. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to make it public, we can do some kind of partnership. You just need to message us so we review your asset and then make it public. And if other people uses your asset, the the income that you generate, the money that it's spent in this asset goes to you.
That's pretty cool. But until then, like until we do some partnership or anything, the agents stay just with you. Others cannot really
Yes,
see it on your dashboard.
yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Um, Meanwhile, another question for you, for especially for somebody who's new to this field, to the AI agents field, which yeah, it's very possible. What's the best type of task or use case to start with using this app?
That's very good, and that's a very good question. And my answer for this is ask for friends about challenges and try to find a challenge that somebody's facing and try to work on
That's
it. I,
that's
f-
very
I
good.
I think like if you want to experiment, if you want to test, you can go over our cookbook. There's a lot of nice examples. But I always feel that to really understand how powerful this is, you need to solve a problem on your own, like something that you care about. So my suggestion, and this is not even for the SDK, but for everything in AI or that you are doing, try to find something that you care and try to use the tools you have to solve this problem or challenge that you care about.
Fair enough. So I know you built the app. Now, the question to you is that do you still prefer using this versus the SDK?
Oh, it's hard
It's a
to
tough
say
one,
which
right?
one I prefer. It's a tough one because on my day to day I use both.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it depends on the scenario. It depends on the load I'm trying to do. If I, as I said, if I want to do something quick, if I want to showcase, if I want to do a presentation about what we XPlain can do, I usually go with the interface. It's easier, it's faster, it's what it's meant for. But if I need to do something very intense, which requires a lot of agents, coordination, or even distribute process, I go with the SDK.
Got it. Now, when you build this app, or in general, like forget the app actually, while building agents, what's like the challenge, biggest challenge that you come across in general, like as an engineer?
Yeah. Okay, so that's a very good question because if the difference between agents and like traditional development is that in development, every step you kind of know what you need to do. Okay, so I have this problem, maybe I should use this infrastructure, this structure, this algorithm, and you are kind of building something like step by step, and it's easy to predict at least the next step or all the path. When you are building agents, you have always to go back to optimize the prompts, to change the tools, to change the models. So it's a very cyclical process. If you have an idea, let's say I want an agent that can fetch information from stock market,
Mm-hmm.
then you need to think, if I were this agent, which tools I would use as a person. Okay, I would use Alpha Vantage. Okay, so let's get Alpha Vantage. Which Alpha Vantage offers this set of tools? Let's select two or three of them. Do they work together? Are the agent able to recognize what this? Do I need to change the LLM behind it? Do I need to change the instructions, change the prompt, change the tool? So it's a process that takes time because there's a lot of experimentation, and the whole testing methodologies is still not clear. You need to have a lot of data. You need to test with different users. You need to think of different scenarios.
Gotcha. Very cool. I don't see any questions in the chat at the moment. I'm just double checking on our LinkedIn, but I really enjoyed your talk.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure listening to whatever you talk about, especially around agents. So, if you want to, I don't know, add any feature or change something about the agent builder, is there something in your mind? And I promise this is the last question from me.
No, no, please. I love those questions. And for me, like as all software, there's always room for improvement.
Hmm.
There's room for improvements in terms of technology, in terms of frameworks, in terms of optimizations. But there's also, and when we talk about the interface software, there's always a lot of improvements for UI and UX. So for
Mhm.
me, this is the most important. Like, if how do I make the experience even better? How do I make anyone build an agent? How do I make everything more easy to be understood, easy to accomplish? Let's say that I want to build a super complex agent. How do I do this with 3, 4 clicks?
Nice, nice. Very true. Like developer experience is just it matters a lot, especially when it comes to all the these kind of apps. Great. Okay, so I don't think we have any more questions, and I think I have asked you enough for today. So
I don't know.
thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
this and walking us through building the agents using absolutely no line of code. It's really interesting. So yeah, thank you so much, Pedro, for your time.
Thank you, Sonnen. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you, everyone that's watching and will watch in the future.
Awesome. And by the way, thank you everyone for listening in. The recording will be available if you guys weren't able to make it live. And if you have any questions, I am going to quickly share a Discord link and you can join there. You're going to find me because I live on Discord. So please feel free to join it. If you have any questions, send it over to us and we will get to your questions as fast as possible. And in the meantime, we have our agent builder app where you can download it and actually follow along what Pedro basically walked us through. So thank you everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.